In Peru, the candidate for the Free Peru National Political Party, Pedro Castillo, leads the presidential election with 55% of the votes counted. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro Moros announced the death of 8 soldiers of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces due to the anti-personnel mines installed by Colombian irregular groups in the border area. Iran condemns a terrorist act perpetrated on Sunday against the Natanz nuclear plant and promises to take action against the perpetrators. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada. On Monday, the president of the Peruvian National Jury of Election, Jorge Luis Salas Arenas, estimated that the results of the first round of elections and consequently the composition of the ballot will be known in the first week of May. Salas pointed out that the date is an estimated forecast to certainly inform about the second round and who will definitely go to the parliament and the Indian parliament. The authority also recalled that in the 2006 elections, the vote count took 26 days. In the 2011 elections, 33 days were required, while in the 2016 elections, the first round was held on April 10th and was resolved on May 9th, 29 days later. This Sunday, Peru held general elections to choose the new president of the republic, 2 vice presidents, 130 parliamentarians, and 5 representatives to the Indian parliament ended in the country. More than 25 million Peruvians over 18 years of age were called to vote on the day, in which 18 candidates contested. And we continue on topic because Peru saw general elections this Sunday to pick 130 members of Congress and the president and vice president of the nation. A total of 18 candidates were vying for the presidency with no clear winner and a second round vote likely to go ahead in June. According to the exit polls by the pollster Ipsos, with 16.1% of the vote, the presidential candidate for the Free Peru National Political Party, Pedro Castillo, was in the lead. He was followed by Hernando de Soto of the Go On Country Party and Keiko Fujimori of the Popular Force Party, who were tied with 11.9%. The 17 delegations of international observers that participated on election day stated that the process was carried out with total normality. Meanwhile, of the 20 parties running for the 136 in Congress, Ipsos exit polls show that the Free Peru National Political Party and the Popular Action Party were leading. Peruvian presidential candidate Pedro Castillo won 16% of the votes in a very divided outcome of election day in Peru, where 18 candidates competed. Castillo delivered a speech to the nation from the Tacamba Square in Cajamarca at the end of the election day.
Today the Peruvian people have just had the blindfold removed. Many times we have been told that only political scientists, constitutionalists, political scholars, those who have large speeches, can lead a country, but they have had enough time. They have had decades, 5-year periods, but look how they leave the country. As this country now, you arrive in metropolitan Lima, you arrive there and you arrive in the big cities and you find the places where there is opulence, but they don't look elsewhere.
Right-wing candidate Guillermo Lasso of the Creating Opportunities Party has won this Sunday's presidential elections in Ecuador. As it became clear from the ongoing vote count that the Lasso had led some 5 percentage points, he offered victory statement to his supporters, thanking them for their votes. Meanwhile, Andrés Araúz of the Union for Hope coalition greeted his supporters and thanked them for their support, while calling on progressive forces in the country to continue their struggle to address the serious challenges facing the country. According to the results published by the National Electoral Council, with 98% of the ballot counted, Guillermo Lasso had secured 52.48% of the vote against 47.52% for Andrés Araúz. Presidential candidate for the Union for Hope coalition, Andrés Araúz, held a press conference on Sunday night where he recognized the victory of his rival Guillermo Lasso of the Creating Opportunities Party.
After these statements, I will make a phone call to Mr. Guillermo Lasso. I will greet him, and of course, for his electoral triumph obtained today. And I will prove him our democratic convictions of continue giving more ideas to the future of our country.
The president of Bolivia's Supreme Electoral Tribunal, Salvador Romero, confirmed a high and significant turnout in the second round of the regional elections held in 4 departments of the country on Sunday. Preliminary data showed fall in turnout as compared to the first round held on March the 7th. However, the electoral official noted that Sunday's turnout was within the parameters to guarantee the election's transparency. Local electoral authorities said they will quickly process the votes and announce the results in the shortest possible time, despite the legal deadline extending until April 18th. The electoral mission sent by the Inter-American Union of Electoral Organizations will deliver a report on Monday, while observers from the Organization of Pan-American States have not stated when they will issue a report on their observations. This Sunday, a new massacre was perpetrated in Colombia. On this occasion, 4 people were killed in Samaniego, in the department of Nariño. With this fact, Colombia arrives to the massacre number 27 of 2021. Digital media reported that in the middle of a celebration, 4 people were murdered, coming from the municipality Samaniego. The identities of the victims and the origin of the incident continue as a matter of investigation. However, citizens of the sector reported that in the previous days, a statement by the armed group calling itself the Guinea Pigs was circulating, which they threatened to kill all those who consume liquor and drugs in the area. This is the 6th massacre in the department of Nariño and the 27th in the entire country so far in 2021. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro Moros announced that 8 soldiers of the Bolivarian National Armed Force were killed by anti-personnel mines deployed along the border with Colombian irregular groups.
Zero tolerance for Colombian irregular armed groups, zero tolerance. Let them go, outside Venezuela, and let us cleanse the country of these terrorists, of these bandits, of these criminals. 8 Venezuelan soldiers killed by these, 8 murders, with bombs, with anti-personnel mines. We have already created the technique with our military engineers to demine all the territory of Apure where we have been brought by the dirty war of Colombia. Those mines were set by irregular armed groups disguised as guerrillas but serving the drug trafficking gangs of Ivan Duque and Álvaro Uribe Vélez. That's the truth.
Staying on topic, the Venezuelan Minister of Defense, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, criticized the lack of action of the Colombian government on its border area, in addition to denouncing the presence of American troops in the area.
Following these terrorists easily, my commander. From the border they are still protected by the entire Colombian state. From the other side of the border line, we have seen how units of the Special Forces of the United States have moved towards the borders municipalities with Apure from Colombia.
On the other hand, the strategic operational commander of the Bolivarian National Armed Force, Remigio Ceballos, explains that the Venezuelan forces have now seized much of the arsenal of the Colombian irregular groups that operate near the border.
We are there fighting. We have increased the actions of the force. The activation of this light brigade of integral rapid action allow us more fluent day and night mobility. We have dismantled several camps and several narcotics laboratories. We have seized almost a ton of narcotics. We have seized and neutralized 4 aircraft, and those we captured 2 and destroyed the others, and also 43 detained people. Also 26 mines were identified and they are in process of destruction. We are working with a brigade staff and a special integral defense operational zone that is there analyzing all the details. We have also achieved the restoration of internal order and the compliance and guarantee of the human rights of the people of Apure.
The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, recalled the coup d'etat against Commander Hugo Chavez by military sectors and oligarchs on April 11, 2002. On that date, members of right-wing parties organized a coup d'etat following a media campaign aimed at tarnishing the figure of the leader of the Bolivarian Revolution and the progressive ideals that he represented. President Nicolás Maduro informed that declassified documents from the U.S. CIA, the State Department, and the White House proved the direct participation of the United States in the execution of the coup d'etat against Commander Chavez. According to Maduro, the arrival of George W. Bush to the White House speeded up the conspiracy. Spain and Colombia were also involved. The Venezuelan president also emphasized that the coup aimed at overthrowing the young Bolivarian revolution and killed Commander Hugo Chavez. In an exclusive interview for TeleSUR, the First Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, thanked the support that Venezuela has provided to his country in the midst of the emergency caused by volcano activity in La Soufriere.
That TeleSUR is with us here from Venezuela. We are very, very pleased that President Nicolás Maduro has reached out to us as a good brother, and we are very pleased to see that tomorrow a vessel will come with 20 tons of relief supplies. Earlier today I spoke to the Foreign Minister of Venezuela and I spoke to the Vice President Delcy, and Raul Lakowski, the Vice Minister, is here. We know him very well. And tomorrow, with the 15 specialists who are coming in various areas touching and concerning disaster preparedness, we will have them operating within the framework of the National Emergency Management Organization, which is the legal entity in St. Vincent and the Grenadines dealing with disasters.
Premier Gonsalves recalled that some 2,000 people died in a similar eruption in 1902 and gave an account of the events in the ongoing volcanic activity.
We declared the alert, stage 3 alert, and then ordered the evacuation. We had an explosive eruption, and this explosive eruption has caused a lot of havoc in the country. As you will notice behind us, there's a map with 4 zones: the red zone, the orange zone, the yellow zone, and the green zone. The green zone includes the capital city in the southwest of Kingstown. The volcano is here. So the worst affected areas are the northeast and the northwest. And evacuation orders were issued for all persons living in the northeast and the northwest in the red zone, and also in the orange zone, and particularly the areas in the orange zone closest to the red zone. The whole country is covered in ash.
Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, stated that evacuation orders have been issued for people living in the areas most affected by the volcano's eruption, as large volumes of volcanic ash have accumulated.
The volcano is here. So the worst affected areas are the northeast and the northwest. And evacuation orders were issued for all persons living in the northeast and the northwest in the red zone, and also in the orange zone, and particularly the areas in the orange zone closest to the red zone.
On Monday, the National Emergency Management Organization of St. Vincent and the Grenadines reported that the La Soufrière volcano continues to erupt explosively and has now begun to generate gas and volcanic material flows. The Disaster Management Agency also said that explosion and accompanying ashfall of similar or larger magnitude are likely to continue to occur over the next few days. The authority also reported that the volcano current activity pattern is similar to that of 1902 eruption. According to Professor Richard Richardson, top geologist expert, the eruptions are likely to cause more damage and destruction. Most of the country remains out of power and covered in ash. The authorities are also instructing Vicentanians to clean the volcanic ash properly and how to avoid breathing the irritating particles. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif has blamed Israel for the incident at the Natanz nuclear facility that occurred on Sunday. The president of the Iranian Atomic Energy Organization, Ali Akbar Salehi, considered that attacking the reactor reflects the defeat of the opponents of industrial and political development in Iran, and also seeks to prevent the development of the Iranian nuclear program. He stressed that Iran condemns this action and highlighted the need for the international community and the International Atomic Energy Agency to confront this nuclear terrorism. On Monday, Germany warned that the latest developments surrounding Iran's Natanz uranium plant can affect negatively the outcome of the nuclear talks aimed at reviving the nuclear agreement with Tehran. Tehran reported a power outage in its enrichment centrifuges in Natanz in breach of the 2015 nuclear deal and blamed Israel for this attack.
Tehran at the moment is not a positive contribution, especially the recent developments regarding Natanz. Regarding the negotiations in Vienna on the nuclear agreement with Iran, they took place last week and will continue from tomorrow. They are not easy, but they are constructive.
In Kyrgyzstan, the electoral reform was approved to change the model of government of the country. To grant more powers to the executive was approved in this Sunday's referendum. With 97% of the ballots counted, almost 80% of the voters voted in favor of the new presidential system, according to the preliminary data of the Central Electoral Commission. A total of 3.6 million voters were called to the polls, with a turnout of 37% of the electoral register. The results of the referendum entails that the new president, Sadir Saparov, will concentrate extensive powers on the executive over the prime minister and the national parliament. Myanmar's ousted civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi was indicted with a new criminal charge on Monday as the junta's tough crackdown on dissent rolls out. The 75-year-old Nobel laureate has not been seen in public since being detained in the early hours of February 1st as the military deposed her government and seized power. The generals have used increasingly brutal methods to try to quell a growing protest movement against their rule, while Suu Kyi faces a raft of criminal charges that could see her barred for life from office.
Aung San Suu Kyi was charged further with one more offense. That is the same law and under the same law and under the same section, Natural Disasters Management Law, Section 25. But this is the new case, and the plaintiff of the case is U Nyi alias U Tomiao. Whether he is an official of a ministry or he is a civilian, well, we cannot know for sure. All three of them were, as they were charged in one case, they all three of them were co-accused. They appeared on the video conferencing all together.
Also in Myanmar, protesters returned to the streets and rural byways of southern Myanmar on Monday, determined to keep public demonstrations going in the face of lethal threats from military forces who are trying to suppress the pro-democracy movement. In Langlong township near the way, a large group mounted motorbikes and rode through the villages of Pandale and Ninhua. Meanwhile, in the way, students, teachers, and engineers carried their message of defiance through the city on foot. So far, more than 700 protesters have been killed by security forces since the military junta seized power on February 1st. In the U.S., a suburb of Minneapolis was under curfew early Monday after the U.S. police fatally shot a young black man, sparking protests not far from where a former police officer was on trial for the murder of George Floyd. According to a statement from the Brooklyn Center Police Department, on early Sunday, officers pulled over down to right a 20-year-old black man for a traffic violation. When they discovered he had an outstanding warrant, they tried to take him into custody. He got back into his car, and one of the officers fired their weapon, striking the driver, who died at the scene. A female passenger in the car suffered non-life-threatening injuries and was transported to a local hospital, said the statement. After these events, protesters gathered outside the Brooklyn Center Police Department in Minneapolis, with police later firing tear gas and flashbangs to disperse the crowd. Tensions are high due to the trial of Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer accused of killing George Floyd, taking place nearby. By around midnight, the National Guard was on the scene, and Brooklyn Center Mayor Mike Elliott imposed a curfew from 1 a.m. Monday until 6 a.m.
Who knows if there's going to be a difference in this world? Who knows if it's going to be the last time that we all come together in something like this?
So we're just peacefully protesting. We're not going to keep taking police killing black people for no reason, traffic stops, mental health problems. So this is just the way that we learn to stand in solidarity and show that we're not going to, we're standing for a cause.
One person died, another was severely injured in a shooting outside a Paris hospital on Monday. The shooting took place at the Henry Dunant private hospital owned by the French Red Cross in the upmarket 16th district of Paris. According to local media, one of the two victims succumbed to the injuries and the attacker fled on a two-wheel vehicle. The surviving victim, a female security officer, is being treated at the Henry Dunant hospital. So far, the authorities have not determined the motive of the attack. The Henry Dunant private hospital runs a COVID-19 vaccination center. Suspected Islamic extremists have attacked and set ablaze the offices of several international aid groups in Nigeria's embattled northeast. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for Saturday's attack in Damasak, but suspicion fell on a faction of extremists aligned with the Islamic State group. The Norwegian Refugee Council said the attack jeopardized its work and threatened the lives of many aid workers. The attack renewed fears for the safety of humanitarian workers who support 8,800 internally displaced people and 76,000 local residents, according to the United Nations. The attack on Damasak is the fourth on the town and its surrounding area this year, and the second attack on humanitarians in the past 2 months in northeast Nigeria. In Somalia, more than 116,000 people were displaced from October 2020 to date as a result of an intense drought exacerbating the current humanitarian situation, according to the United Nations Organization and government agencies. The National Executive Branch and the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs of the United Nations detailed in a statement that the residents of about 50 districts in this territory suffered the impact of water scarcity. In turn, they indicated that the situation could deteriorate further if predictions that the April-June rainy season will have an average rainfall below the historical average. In this phase of the humanitarian scenario, both the United Nations and the government of Mogadishu called on the international community to provide financial funds to help 2.7 million people across the country in need of assistance. And we have come to the end of this news brief, but remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.